Over here at the top left, a member of the team IM, a very strong Zerg player, did well at MLG. He is
IM Loshira.
Gave us a wink. All right, Terran player, the opponent of Lucira, very, very solid player. He is fOu. That time it wasn't me who botched the intro. It was the production team. But, oh, we're having it again anyways. It's alright, when things like that happen, it's just funny.
Yep. So SE is going to try to wall in at his main base.
Indeed,
the Overlord is choosing the right direction to go. That's really always a comfortable thing to do. On a 4-player map, they could really be anywhere. So scouting the right direction first is a huge load off your shoulder.
Alright, so it is going to be a hatchery first. And it's pretty normal to see that on this map. He is playing against fOu, who's known for 2-raxing, but it's Tal'Darim Malter, so it's a good map to choose against SC. He's not going to be able to 2-rax very easily here. And in fact, he's not 2-raxing, but that's why he feels comfortable making that hatchery. Now, yes. SC has gotten his gas up. I'm kind of curious to see what he's going to do. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Reactor and Hellions. But there are a lot of different options. It could just be a Siege expand very safely and slowly. What are you thinking, Torch?
I don't know. Thinking about movies.
Thinking about movies?
Younghwa's not here anymore. I'm sad.
It's okay. I'm sad for Robin Clark.
Oh. Did they die that game? I didn't even see.
They did, actually.
Oh. Don't name anyone this game.
I won't. No one. I will never name anyone again.
Especially Bob right there.
That Overlord, or is that the SCV?
SCV.
All right.
He's dancing around, doesn't want to die. He's going to, though.
So, what he's trying to do with this SCV here is perhaps scare his opponent to pull a bunch of drones, but Lucira realizes that this is just a pressure move, just a scout.
And you can even drop down a bunker there, even if you're not bringing Marines, just to force the Zerg player to pull off some units. However, that drone did get a little too aggressive there and took a few extra hits that he didn't need to. Here's the other drones to counter any sort of bunker that could have gone up, but he is just going to transfer them over to the minerals.
Yeah, the Marines just trying to be annoying at this point.
Yep.
Drone, meanwhile, does sneak into the base of SC, sees the factory, and does he see the reactor? Does block the gas as well, that's pretty frustrating. Did see the reactor, so he knows it's going to be reactor Hellions. And that's very frustrating to have your gas stolen like that, especially when you only have one Marine out and he's in the middle of the map, making your reactor so you can't actually kill it.
Come back. Yeah.
And these Zerglings moving across the map are going to kill this SCV. Unfortunate for that SCV. Some call him Bob.
So the SC is putting up a command center, so he's going to be relatively defensive. He was probably forced into this because he can't get the second gas, so he can't get the key upgrades that he needs. But getting those Hellions out early is going to be able to help him to defend that fast expansion quite well.
True. And the extractor does die. Now, right now, a spine crawler has been made. He knows about the Hellions. His speed is about to finish as well, so he's in a pretty good spot. SC is going to really have to be creative here.
He's going to drop a barracks there to try to seal off the wall and distract these Lings for long enough so that he can get the wall up.
Yep. And these Hellions actually...
Ooh, a little bit of a miss micro there. He could have lost those, but he was able to get out, luckily.
He's got 4 Hellions out now. He's just trying to find the Zerglings.
Oh, the Zerglings just barely sneak in. Oh, nice timing. He did lift out that supply depot. He's only going to be able to lose this one SCV, if anything.
Yeah, and on top of that, he is going to lose all of these Zerglings. Sira is. And these Zerglings trying to come in now. Struggle to get in there. Hellions now, there are 5 of them trying to chase away those Zerglings. And back at home for Lucira, he's added a Roach Warren. He's droning up pretty heavily. Made 5 drones just now. 4 Zerglings on the way. Just basically, I think, preparing to make sure that SC doesn't take a very fast third. Make sure he can deal with those Hellions as he prepares to take his own third base.
Yeah, if those Hellions are able to get in and do a lot of damage, then it's really going to put Lucira behind. But he is going to keep his Queen and his Zerglings in a position to be able to fend off those Hellions quite easily.
This is very true.
And there's also no blue flame coming out here, so these Hellions are just kind of there to make Losira a little bit scared. Maybe make him make some units that he doesn't necessarily want to.
Right. Well, there are going to be 5 roaches popping out here pretty soon, which is going to kind of shut down these Hellions. The Hellion's going to try to sneak by, though, and the natural, a lot of drones bunching
and they
up.
all line up, but he only gets 3 of them.
Close call there, though. Does take out a lot of these speedlings, but the roaches come, and that will end this Hellion harassment, at least for now. Right now, 35 drones to 30 SCVs. Losira, even though he lost about 4 or 5 drones during that attack, he's been droning so well that it doesn't really matter that much. He is breaking down the rocks, preparing to take a 3rd base, as SC takes his 2nd gas.
He used supply block temporarily.
Yeah, we're catching a lot of supply blocks on cast today. I actually saw multiple ones earlier as well.
Yeah. So
I feel like a lot of players are nervous because this team league now is much more important than it used to be. And we're having closer... Oh, go ahead.
The grand prize for this team league, if anyone hasn't figured it out, is 30,000, well, the equivalent of $30,000. It's 30 million Korean won.
Yep.
Second place is 15, I believe.
I think
and
you're
then
right.
there's a $5 grand prize for the best coach, which is the coach of the winning team.
And part of the nervousness, which I was going to say, is that I think that these team league games have been much closer than they were in the other team leagues. Usually the ones of the other team leagues were kind of close in the semifinals or the finals, but during the earlier rounds, like this type of round, IM would, for example, just have crushed fOu back then, but now it's much closer.
That is true. A lot of these players are figuring out more of what their opponents' styles are like, and they are able to counter them a little bit better.
It's very true. Now, right now for SC, he's got a pretty large bioforce. Looks like he wants to hit a nice little timing attack here. His starport's up. He's going to start making medevacs out of that. He's adding a few more barracks. No CC just yet. SC has been known to do 2-base timing attacks with Marines and Marauders if his opponent has been not really showing that many Banelings, but he is making some Banelings right now. He doesn't have Baneling speed.
And we do have a Zergling force coming in behind. The main army of SC ran out into the middle of the field, so these Zerglings are going to be able to run in and scout exactly what's going on. However, there is a supply depot there finishing the wall off, so they're not going to get too much information. The rest of the Bioforce and those 6 Hellions are going to move into the 3rd of Losira. But sorry.
And here they come now. And these Roaches going to try to hold these Hellions off and let the Banelings come over to help. The Banelings going to want to get behind these units. He's going to want to use the Marauders to tank a lot of damage, but the Banelings are just so slow off of creep.
He's not even upgrading speed quite yet. These Marines are able to kite this quite easily. They're just donating units right there.
Yeah, the Marauders do not have concussive shells, so that's one thing that he doesn't have going for him. And SC actually just going to go around the other side, scanning, killing a lot of creep tumors here. Doing a little drop at the natural. And does kill a significant amount of units. Almost got that queen, but did not. And just going to lift up and save them.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Saves 3 of them.
Did a significant amount of damage. I like that harassing from 2 different sides.
Yeah, so that didn't do any serious damage right there, but what it did was it prevented the creep spread into the middle of the maps, which moving into the mid game is really going to help the movement of SC around the map. It also gives him exactly the idea of what Losira is trying to be doing right now.
That is true. Losira doing a great job of using his Zerglings to scout where his opponent's army is at all times, checking for 3rd bases, doing a great job with that. Not only that, but he's taking his all-night watchtowers whenever he can. That Queen over there doing a good job of spreading that creep. But SC does have a relatively large force moving around the map again.
And we do have 3 medevacs here about to drop on the natural. They're going to be able to do a lot of damage. The Banelings are not quite up yet. So he is going to force all those drones to run away and stop mining for a little while. The Banelings are starting to come in. Only a few detonate before everything gets picked up. He only lost 3 units in that battle. That's really good for SC. The Hellions are trying to move in, but 2 of them get taken out. 3 of them get taken out very, very easily.
And the drop, again, in the main. There are a few units to defend. The Baneling's actually hitting a lot of Marines, but on the other side, there's a drop at the 3rd base. A lot of those units getting cleaned up, but there may be enough Marines. There's that drop in the main I was talking about. Looks like it is going to be mostly cleaned up, and Losira shutting these down for the most part, not really losing a whole lot.
Yeah, this is a relatively even trade for both of them. However, Losira is on the 3 bases with 4 hatcheries up, so he should be able to re-drone up quite quickly if he needs to. Once he makes sure that he is safe, he will be able to bring his economy back up. In the meantime, he is going to be continuing to get queens and the upgrades that he really needs to be able to defend the second wave of forces coming from the Terran player. We do see, that's 2 Marauders and almost 10 Marines coming out right now. Shields and upgrades for the Bio Army are almost out.
Another little drop here by SC at the natural.
5 medevacs full of units now.
Yeah, that's a lot of units. He should be able to take out that hatchery, but no, there are enough Zerglings, I think, here to clean this up. But with good control by SC, he should be able to micro his units back. And that hatchery may fall. And indeed it does.
And he can just pick up right now. Oh, wow. So he was able to pick up without losing too many units. That was a really good trade for the Terran player. He's going to drop again in the main, force all the units just to continue to run arounds.
Yeah, and this is starting to look really bad for Losira. All these Banelings going to go down. He does not yet have Baneling speed. And just losing so much here now, he can lift up. This is the problem. If you don't go Spire Tech, your opponent's just going to continue to drop you.
There's no anti-air except for these queens.
Exactly.
And these queens die very, very quickly to Marauder drops.
And a lot more roaches being taken out here at the natural. Even some of these drones that are long-distance mining being taken out as well. Always with the good positioning of his units so they cannot be surrounded by Zerglings. I mean, what can Losira do against that? Not a whole lot. Still, no third base for SC. Just continuing to use these drops, being aggressive. And he's just doing so much damage. These Banelings are still do not have speed and are no longer going to be in play.
Yeah, these bio units are just streaming in from medevacs. He's got 40-something SCVs or Marines on the field right now. He's just continuing to drop them in, take out all the reinforcements of the Zerg player, prevent him from mining at this main natural base. He's just taking out the queens left and right, and if he can take out this evolutioning chamber before the upgrade is finished, that's really going to give him a huge advantage. Wow, that's going to put Losira on a huge back foot. If Marines, medevacs, Marauders coming from every direction, and Losira is forced to GG, putting this match into a 3-3 situation.
That was very, very tense.
This is not what I don't think anyone was expecting. I certainly wasn't.
I was not either. And especially after IM was winning early on, I thought it might be a 4-0. And now it's looking pretty good for fOu, man. SC, though, he's still got one more guy to beat.
Choyo looks quite happy there in the background.
Yeah, he does.
See what ceremony he's going to pull here. Oh, knock, knock, knock. Who's there? Oh, thumbs down.
Oh, we've seen that one already, SC. That wasn't original.
He could do better.
Sarah looking a little frustrated. But these things happen. He played a good game.
It was a good game. He did get a little bit starved early on, and then that forced him to just try to defend constantly, but the drops were just coming in, and as you were saying before, he had no anti-air because he had no Spire. So SC was just able to drop constantly in every single location, and that just eventually gave SC the lead.
Yeah, he did his drops so well. He always had his drops in such a position that the Zerglings couldn't surround them. Then he abused the dropship ability to just lift units up, and then he went over the trees and then dropped on the other side, then picked up and dropped on the other side, and eventually just wore him down. Once he got that hatchery, there was just no way for him to really keep reinforcing. Plus, he was sitting on top of the units that would have come out anyways, so...
I think another flaw from Losira's play is he didn't have the Baneling speed, so he wasn't able to chase those units off creep. Or
the mutas. Or if you don't have mutas, if he had mutas, like 2 mutas, those drops would not have been able to be as dominant as they were. I say 2 being a little exaggeratory, but if you get the mutas out, not only does it make your opponent not want to drop you ever again, but if he does drop you, you can punish him. Whereas now, the queen's like, no, please come back, and she's like trying to swat the dropships, but you just can't.
And another thing that we see a lot of Zerg players do now is make the Spire, and then you don't necessarily need to use the Spire, but in a situation like that where you do see a lot of drops coming in, they're going to do a lot of damage if you don't defend against them. You can put out those air units. The Spires cost a lot, but it's an investment that's really worth it, and we saw the power of not having a Spire in that situation. And the set is attacking me now. So
those were the follower. I was like, we can stop this together, Torch and I.
No need. Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with what you're saying, and it's hard to get a Spire when someone's dropping you. You want to put all of your resources in defending, especially when they're using those strong ground army bio pushes to your third. It's very difficult to invest in that 200-200 structure, but if you don't, then eventually eventually. He just has so many drops. I mean, he was doing 4 and 5 medevac drops at a time.
He's just reinforcing with a full medevac of Marines just every minute. So,
all right, who's it going to be? Will it be Nest T?
I think most of the IM team has abandoned them.
Whoa.
Yoda.
Interesting.
This guy knocked me out of the qualifier at one point.
He actually did qualify this time for Code A. And he's a pretty solid Terran player from what I've been told. I've actually never watched him play, though.
I think, well, MVP is obviously the best Terran. And then it's probably between Yoda and...
MVP? Or is that what you were saying?
Who played first?
Oh. Are you talking about Happy?
Happy, yes. Yeah. Between Happy and Yoda, those are probably the second best turns.
Oh, okay.
Of,
I didn't really. I was trying to figure out what you were trying to compare. I was like, oh. Well, Yoda did qualify for Code A, and that in itself is a huge achievement.
Yes.
You should feel better about that than winning Code S, man.
But he is quite tall, which is kind of interesting to choose the tag Yoda for that.
Yeah. Quite MVP. Tall he is.
Oh. Oh God, Star Wars references. If you want to make Star Wars references, you should definitely message John the Translator. He loves Star Wars at Junka, JUNKKA83 on Twitter. Just tweet at him all the time. He loves it.
He does love it. Poor John. He's going to watch this bottom. Like, you guys are fired.
Yeah. John will just troll me in real life like he always does.
Yeah. He's pretty good at that, actually. He's got quite the reputation online, but you guys just don't even know.
Yeah. Come to Korea, you can meet John.
Yeah, you can.
Come to Mokdong, you can meet Wolf. Sometimes me. Usually not.
You're like that vowel caster that's only sometimes there. Wolf and sometimes Torch.
And for anyone that's curious, Tastosis are on vacation right now. They will be back for next week's GSTL, and they will be casting a majority of the GSTL matches this season, in addition to their normal Code S matches. And in the meantime, you'll be able to see Wolf here and a couple other guest casters like myself. And let us know what you think about us and how we can improve to provide you a better entertainment.
Yeah, definitely give us feedback. The GOM forums on Twitter, anywhere. Well played, Team Liquid, all those sites. Reddit. Exactly. Obviously, you can see Yoda there, as we mentioned, is in Code A this upcoming season. And he looks pretty confident, I have to say. He's just got his head in his hand like he's really relaxed. I like that type of attitude for playing in the team league. You have to be confident, and that's why we actually chose QXC as our starter player for this past GSTL, because we thought he had, from the people who had been here for like a week, he had actually been the most prepared and the most confident. Everyone else was still a little nervous, and we looked at QXC and said, no, you're actually ready. You're going to be a starting player.
He also did extremely well in the qualifier. He didn't quite qualify, but he lost to Dongregoo in 2 very, very close games. And Dongregoo, very, very strong player. If you haven't seen the GSTL matches of Jupiter from yesterday, very, very exciting. Slayers versus that other team, MVP. Also, Boxer came out yesterday, and I don't know how many people know this, but if you watch the Boxer's Wings episode, they were showing that he's having a lot of shoulder problems, and that's actually coming back. So for him to play in a GSTL is a huge feat for him to do. He can barely move his arm after he plays one game. But he still had a very nice performance, and he is still the Emperor.
He is still the Emperor.
He's still the Emperor.
Yeah, so a lot of respect for Boxer. Definitely got to hand it to him. He does a good job. He's a great coach, manager. He does so many things for Slayers. And he's done so much in the past. It's not like this is the beginning of his career or something, man.
That is very true, but in addition to him, we also have a lot of other personalities like him coming in. Esports, when he started, was very, very young. There weren't a whole lot of personalities around. He was really the first one to elevate StarCraft to a sport in Korea. But now that StarCraft is expanding to a global scene, we do have a lot of other personalities coming around. Like, even like we have room for anti-personalities or villain characters like Idra, as everyone loves.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can see him back in Korea at some point.
Yeah, I'm hoping he comes back
soon. A lot of the Koreans think he's dead because of the memorial video that was released when he moved back to the U.S. But maybe we can have a revival at some point.
Yeah, you guys should look that video up. I think it's called A Tribute to Idra.
Or something like that, yeah.
Yeah, I should definitely look that up. It's pretty amusing. If you don't know what we're talking about, one of your friends, I'm sure, will tell you about it. It's pretty hilarious. So remember, guys, this is IM versus fOu. This is the ace match.
3-3, not expected at all. fOu, a team that hasn't had the best results in GSTL. They've got a few players that have done quite well in GSL, mainly being SC, who's doing quite well right now. But as a team, they really haven't achieved a whole lot. And I think their coach put it very well that they really need to prove themselves in this GSTL, which is probably the most important thing for them so far in their StarCraft careers.
Yeah, I think so. And it's really interesting that IM chose to put Yoda out rather than Nesty or MVP. And I like that because it kind of shows me, at least what I feel from that, is most likely Yoda himself personally asked to be put out. Will you please put me out? I haven't shown that many results yet, but I want to show the world I'm really good. I qualify for Code A, and I want to get myself out there, and I can do this. He tells the IM coach, please let me do this, and he agreed. I think that's most likely the situation we're seeing here, and I like that choice.
And it's also probably that IM thought that SC was going to be fOu's ace player, and they might have trained Yoda specifically to be the counter
That's also true.
to this player. So he might have been training TVT against SC's style for the past however many weeks. So there are both players. They are about to get ready to get going into this game on Xel'Naga Fortress. It is a 3-player map.
Yep, and this is Xel'Naga Fortress. On Xel'Naga Fortress. This is Xel'Naga Fortress, so therefore, what I was going to say, there is a Xel'Naga watchtower in the middle of the map that does explode after 8 minutes, so it's no longer in play, for those of you guys who didn't know that. I always mention that about this map because a lot of people don't know it. Torch is looking at me like he didn't know it.
What? Are you trolling me again?
No, I'm serious. There's a Xel'Naga watchtower in the middle, blows up after 8 minutes, you can no longer use it.
Uh-oh.
So it doesn't affect your units.
I want to see that happen.
Alright guys, the countdown has started. IM or fOu, who will it be? Yoda versus SC. Whoever wins this game decides this match. The map is Xel'Naga Fortress. We are at the GSTL Venus. Let's find out which team is going to take it, IM or fOu.